In this podcast episode, the host speaks with philosopher Philip Goff, who explores the intricate questions surrounding the existence of the universe, consciousness, and the potential purpose behind it all. The discussion delves into various philosophical and scientific perspectives, including panpsychism, fine-tuning, and the implications of these ideas for our understanding of reality. The conversation begins with a fundamental inquiry into how we know about reality. Goff emphasizes that our perception of the world is rich with colors, sounds, and tastes, yet these qualities are challenging to capture in the quantitative language of mathematics. This leads to a deeper exploration of consciousness, which remains a unique enigma as it is not publicly observable. Goff argues that while physics provides a story about the fundamental level of reality, it often feels esoteric and disconnected from our lived experiences. Goff posits that to truly understand the nature of reality, we must integrate both scientific inquiry and philosophical reflection. He suggests that the questions surrounding the meaning and purpose of human existence cannot be answered solely through experimental data. Instead, a collaborative approach that combines science and philosophy is essential for a more comprehensive understanding of our existence. The discussion transitions to Goff's first book, Galileo's Error, where he critiques the philosophical assumptions that have shaped scientific inquiry since Galileo's time. Goff highlights that Galileo's declaration of a purely mathematical science led to the exclusion of consciousness from the scientific narrative. This separation has resulted in a limited understanding of reality, as consciousness is a fundamental aspect of our experience. Goff argues that the reductionist approach, which seeks to explain reality solely through mechanisms, has overlooked the richness of conscious experience. He believes that to fully reintegrate consciousness into the scientific story, we must revisit and rethink the philosophical assumptions that have been inherited from past thinkers. This reevaluation could pave the way for a more holistic understanding of reality that encompasses both the physical and the conscious. As the conversation unfolds, Goff and Andre discuss the inherent limitations of human perception in understanding reality. Goff references Aldous Huxley's concept of the brain as a reduction valve for consciousness, highlighting how our sensory systems filter vast amounts of information, leaving us with only a fraction of what is available. This limitation raises questions about the accuracy of our perceptions and the nature of reality itself. Goff emphasizes that while our senses provide us with direct access to our experiences, they also constrain our understanding of the broader universe. He suggests that the challenge lies in recognizing these limitations and exploring the possibility that consciousness may extend beyond our immediate perceptions. This perspective invites a deeper inquiry into the nature of existence and the potential for consciousness to be a fundamental aspect of reality. The conversation then delves into the hard problem of consciousness, which Goff describes as the challenge of explaining why and how subjective experiences arise from physical processes. He distinguishes between correlation and explanation, noting that while we can observe correlations between brain activity and conscious experience, the underlying mechanisms remain elusive. Goff argues that traditional scientific approaches often fail to address the deeper questions surrounding consciousness. He believes that while experiments can provide valuable data, they cannot fully explain the nature of subjective experience. This limitation calls for a philosophical exploration of consciousness that goes beyond empirical observation, seeking to understand the essence of what it means to be conscious. Goff introduces the concept of panpsychism, which posits that consciousness is a fundamental property of all matter. He explains that this view suggests that even the smallest particles possess some form of consciousness, albeit in a simpler form than human consciousness. This perspective challenges the traditional reductionist view that consciousness emerges solely from complex biological systems. The implications of panpsychism are profound, as they invite a reevaluation of our relationship with the universe. Goff argues that if consciousness is indeed a fundamental aspect of reality, it could reshape our understanding of existence and our place within it. This perspective encourages a more interconnected view of life, where all entities, from particles to humans, share a common thread of consciousness. The discussion shifts to the fine-tuning of the universe, a concept that refers to the precise conditions necessary for life to exist. Goff highlights that certain physical constants and parameters are remarkably well-suited for the emergence of life, raising questions about the underlying reasons for this fine-tuning. He suggests that the improbability of these conditions points to the possibility of a deeper purpose or design behind the universe. Goff argues that the fine-tuning of the universe is not merely a coincidence, but may indicate a more profound cosmic purpose. He encourages listeners to consider the implications of this perspective, suggesting that it opens the door to exploring the relationship between consciousness and the universe. By recognizing the interconnectedness of all things, we may begin to understand the potential purpose behind our existence. Throughout the conversation, Goff emphasizes the importance of philosophy in scientific inquiry. He argues that philosophical assumptions underpin scientific theories, and that a failure to recognize these assumptions can lead to misunderstandings about the nature of reality. Goff believes that a collaborative approach between science and philosophy is essential for addressing the complex questions surrounding consciousness and existence. Goff's perspective challenges the notion that science can provide all the answers. He advocates for a more integrated approach that acknowledges the limitations of empirical observation, while also embracing the insights offered by philosophical reflection. This approach encourages a deeper exploration of the mysteries of existence and the potential for consciousness to be a fundamental aspect of reality. As the conversation progresses, Goff and Andre explore the intersection of science and spirituality. Goff suggests that the insights gained from scientific inquiry can complement spiritual practices, offering a more holistic understanding of existence. He argues that both science and spirituality seek to address the same fundamental questions about the nature of reality and our place within it. Goff emphasizes that engaging with spiritual traditions can provide valuable insights into the human experience. He encourages listeners to explore the wisdom found in various religious and mystical traditions, recognizing that these perspectives can enrich our understanding of consciousness and existence. By embracing both scientific inquiry and spiritual exploration, we can cultivate a more profound connection to the universe. The conversation also touches on the ethical implications of consciousness. Goff argues that if consciousness is a fundamental property of all matter, it raises important questions about our moral responsibilities toward other beings. He suggests that recognizing the interconnectedness of all life can foster a greater sense of compassion and empathy, encouraging us to treat all entities with respect and care. Goff's perspective invites listeners to consider the ethical dimensions of their actions and choices. By acknowledging the potential for consciousness in all beings, we can cultivate a more compassionate worldview that values the intrinsic worth of all life. This ethical framework encourages a deeper sense of responsibility for our actions and their impact on the world around us. As the conversation draws to a close, Goff reflects on the search for meaning in life. He suggests that the quest for understanding our existence is a deeply human endeavor, one that transcends cultural and philosophical boundaries. Goff encourages listeners to embrace the uncertainty inherent in this search, recognizing that the journey itself can be a source of meaning and fulfillment.